Hello guys, thank you for joining me again. I'm Marlene Mayele. It's another episode up in here in this kitchen. I'm just like feeling it. Food, kitchen, warmth, water, sometimes juice, sometimes a bit of alcohol. But today we're keeping it down. Today is not a crazy topic like the previous episode. Shout out to Jackson and Angel. Once again, thank you for joining me. But today I am joined by the lovely Claire.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. You?
Would you like, I'm good. Could you introduce yourself? Who are you? I know you've done pageants, you're Miss, you're this, you're a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay, so my name is Claire and I live in London, West London. I do biomed, so like I'm a scientist, work in the lab. And also I've done pageantry, like beauty pageants. That's where we actually met.
That's where we met.
Yeah. So we've been friends for a good long time. So yeah, I do beauty pageants and stuff like that. Right now I'm just on holiday on my break. And yeah, so I'm a I said that in
biomed,
scientist, and yeah.
We were a Miss Congo finalist, weren't we?
Yes,
Miss Congo finalist 2020, isn't it?
Yeah.
Shout out to Francos. So yeah, Claire, today's topic is very close to home.
Yeah.
Very, very close to home. And I really wanted us to discuss this because there's a lot of people out there who have very little knowledge.
Yeah.
They do not seek the knowledge or look for the knowledge to find out about this subject.
Yeah.
And before we go into it, I've presented you a plate of food.
Oh, thank you. It looks very nice.
That I took some time to cook in this kitchen of mine.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so we've got some mushrooms there. I've got a thing about mushroom lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it healthy as well. There's some slightly fried plantain there and some beef steak. I thought, you know what, the next couple of days, I'm going to steak it out. So
exactly.
it's a steakhouse in here.
So lovely.
Before we start talking, do you want to try it?
Okay. Ooh,
Yeah.
Yes, I was waiting for that.
Do you want to?
Go ahead.
You're waiting for the go ahead. You're waiting for the go ahead, like.
Exactly. Ooh, let's tuck in.
And this is literally done as you would say, medium or well done.
Okay.
So, because I know not everybody likes it quite pink kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
like
like
medium.
well done. Yeah.
Definitely 100%. It's really nice.
Although I cook this, it's actually nice, you know.
You see. Talents.
This is lovely.
It goes really well with the mushroom and the makemba.
Mayebo. No makemba.
Exactly. If you guys don't know what makemba is, it's plantain in English.
It's plantain in English. So.
It's actually quite a nice combination. You've got sweet, salt, and a little bit of veg.
Just gives it a bit of mix in there, isn't it? And this difficult time that everyone's going through, and this COVID time, I think that is very important for one to be able to eat a decent, good, nice cooked meal. Make sure that you've got something healthy to accompany it. Loads of water, loads of fluid. And I'm not just talking any sweet fluid. I've actually reduced quite a lot. Yeah, it's all about the immune system really, and that's what a lot of people fail to understand, isn't it? Yeah. So back to our topic today.
Yeah.
We are talking about sickle cell. Would you care to tell people what is sickle cell?
Okay, I would. 1 second.
I know, get that water down. You swallow that good food.
So sickle cell is basically
we call it sickle cell anemia.
Well, the full name is sickle cell anemia.
Anemia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sickle cell anemia is it's like an illness, a disease that you get from either one of your parents, so whether your mum or your dad, and
but mostly who's the main carrier that passes it?
Yeah, because your father's dominant. The most dominant carrier is the father when it comes to sickle cell, but again you could get it from both parents, but the most dominant one is the father.
Man.
Exactly. Bring all that baggage, right?
Yeah, men bring a lot of baggage.
Yeah, so sickle cell, basically I try to explain it like this. Think of like the moon shape. The moon is full circle. That's our red blood cells. It travels along our body and it goes in and out through your body easily. Okay, so when you're sick, when you're well, the moon shape, the full circle, is what's going up and down in our bodies, the red blood cells.
Yeah.
Okay, when you get sick and you have like a sickle cell crisis or a sickle cell attack, just think of the moon when it turns to a crescent shape.
Okay, when it's like half moon, basically.
When it's more like when it's C, so not half moon, but when it's
like
C,
a little like a shape
sickle.
like this. Yeah.
Like a sickle, like a crescent. So that when you're having a crisis or an attack or ill, that those red blood cells tend to go around your body, travel around your body, and it can get caught into like veins. It can get caught. It can't travel smoothly because it's not circle anymore.
Okay.
So it gets caught up in veins, which creates the pain.
Oh, because of the shape.
Yeah,
so obviously it cannot go through smoothly through the veins. So you'll feel those aches.
So you'll feel the aches, whether it's in your head, whether it's in your back, whether it's in your legs. It can happen. It could happen in your eye. It could happen absolutely anywhere.
Eyes.
Yeah. So some people could suffer from stroke. Some people could just because your blood is not traveling well around your body when you have the sickle cell crisis. It's crescent shaped, so it could get built up in your arm, and that's what creates the pain. So that's what basically sickle cell is. That's the short digest version. So yeah.
And yourself, you are.
I'm SS, so I've got the full blown sickle cell illness. Yeah, I'm full blown. So there's like a trait. There's trait. Trait people also do sometimes, not all the time. They sometimes get pain as well. But if you have sickle cell, SS, you're mainly that's the more intense one, and you tend to get a lot of pain. You tend to get a lot of crisis, a lot of attacks. But yes, it's not as bad as sickle cell trait.
As a sickle cell trait.
Yeah. Okay, so there's 4 types of sickle cell. SS is the one that's usually common with African descent or Caribbean descent or Indian. So SS is the full blown, and you do also have SB, which is thalassemia, which tends to be found in European, like Caucasian people, and SS is the one that's usually it's more severe, it's more harsh, it's more painful, and it's more common among African and Caribbean and Asian descent.
So basically, it's called also called SCD, which is sickle cell disease, and you need to have 2 copies of the genes in order to have the disease, which is what you said.
Yeah.
So if a father passed it along, and then your mother has it, or someone's a trait or something like that, so you're most likely going to be carrying it and passing it. And I think traits people are carrying something of it. So if a trait and a trait mixed together, they can create SS.
Yeah. Sickle cell trait. So basically, sickle cell trait is it means that you could pass it on. Yeah, so it means like you could pass it on. You can tend to have pains with this as well, but sickle cell trait, it just means that you could pass it on. Either the mum or the dad would have it, or both would have it, and they could pass it on to their child. So whichever, the mother or the father could pass it on to their child.
Okay, so you're saying SS, and some people think like it's to do with the blood. Is it to do with the blood? Because someone else say there could be a blood type O but still be sickle cell. Is that possible?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. It's to do with blood and also the genes of your parents. So it's connected to your genes. So but mainly sickle cell is a illness to do with it's the sickle cell of blood. Okay. So your hemoglobin. Yeah. And you get it passed down through your gene pool. So your ancestors,
your fathers are always very dominant.
Yeah, or your fathers or your mothers had it somewhere down the line, so it could be passed down through the genes. Okay. And not just like a normal disease or like age.
Like picked up kind of thing. Yeah, you cannot pick it up.
It could only be passed down through the genes, the mother or father.
Okay. Yeah. So now let's talk symptoms, because symptoms usually show sometimes from a young age. They may even appear in babies as early as 4 months old. Yeah, poor baby, and but generally occurs around the 6-month kind of mark time. Yeah. So a child could have sickle cell and you will not know until later on, and the symptoms can be very severe, and it does vary, and it can be very painful, as you mentioned as well, because of the shape of the blood cell. So I'm reading here. There's, for example, bedwetting. Can someone who's associated to sickle cell be associated to having, wet in the bed, and it can also be associated to kidney problems?
So there's a variety of symptoms that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
As you're saying, the bedwetting one, that tends to happen like when you're a child. It doesn't happen to everyone. It could not. Everyone might not wet the beds also, but also when you're older, you could probably have complications like due to for your kidney, and then you find yourself incontinent, which is you can wet the bed and all that stuff. But it doesn't. Again, it doesn't happen to every person.
It doesn't happen to every person.
And even like with the sickle cell disease, or the illness, some people could go through their whole life without having an attack, or just having one attack, or like sickle cell attack. When I say sickle cell attack, it's like when you're in crisis.
When you're having a crisis,
So some people could go up throughout their whole life not having it, or to have just 1 or 2 attacks. But there's other people that could be back to back in hospital all the time, always having attacks, always
That's true.
ill, always this. Or some people, I've heard another lady, she started finding symptoms after she gave birth. So throughout her whole life, she didn't have it. And then
after
when she gave birth, she started picking
symptoms.
up pains and stuff. So it varies with different people, what the symptoms are and stuff like that. It varies very much. And now what the symptoms actually are, like, there's a variety.
There's a variety, because I'm seeing here there's swelling of pain.
Yeah.
You can get swelling of pain, hands and feet.
Yeah.
There's frequent infections as well.
Yeah.
So when they say frequent infections, what kind of infections are you prone to? Is it because your immune system is weak, so you can easily get sick?
Yeah, you could easily get very sick easily. So you have to make sure your hygiene and that you're taking care of yourself, that you're in a good clean environment. So infections, it could come from like chest infection, kidney infection, urine infection. It could be blood infection where you get sepsis. That's the when your blood is infected. That's really,
so
really
do you
bad
have you have to get your blood cleaned out and stuff like that? If that happens.
You either could treat it with antibiotics or go to the hospital, but give you very intensive treatment. But then there's also other symptoms, like you get swelling, you get your head.
Yeah, like the pain in the chest, the back. Yeah.
And the pain can happen from anywhere. It can happen from your head to your toe to your eye to your fingers. There's no place that a sickle cell
will not attack.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So when it comes to babies, please do look out on your children, and you should know whether you are a sickle cell or whether you're not, whether you're a trait, whether the father is, because the father is a dominant carrier in this situation. Women do get it, but obviously it's been passed on through the the genes, the DNA, and the father, as I said, is the dominant carrier. Men carry a lot of things, and when it comes to the child, there's fussiness, because as they mentioned, there's orders 4 months, but the cutting mark is 6 months. So look out for the fussiness in your child. So we're just saying sickle cell disease, sickle cell this, but there are actually different types of sickle cell disease. Because a lot of people tend to think that sickle cell is only something that's only found in, brown people, black people, but African descent or Indian descent. But there's different types of sickle cell. So the one that is found in African and Indian descent is the most common one. It's the most common one, and that's the SS disease, isn't it?
Sickle cell, SS.
SS.
Mainly the sickle cell, and the one that's found in Europeans or typical white.
So we have SS, that's the common among Africans and Asians.
Yeah.
And then you have SC.
Yeah.
Which is the second most common type of sickle cell disease, and it occurs to be in the HB and the C gens.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I'm seeing here as well, so if it's like a HB or a SC, which is similar symptoms to the individuals of the HB and the SS.
Yeah.
And then there's also the SB plus beta. Is that is that the one that the Western society?
Yeah. The one that's common in Western or Europeans is usually it's called. They do call it SB as well, but it's usually called testolemia.
Testolemia, so, SB, yeah.
Yeah, it's mainly pretty much the same thing, but it's just I would still say that sickle cell is more intense, more severe. But testolemia, it can happen in Europeans as well. They will get all the symptoms and everything, but it's not as intense as sickle cell is.
Reading here on
Tessalemia.
Tessalemia, oh gosh.
It's alright, don't worry. I had to
No.
remember it a few times
It
too.
says the size of the red blood cell is reduced because of the less beta protein is made.
Yeah.
And if inherited to the HBS gene, you will have the S beta. So the symptoms are not severe.
Yeah.
The symptoms are not as severe
Yeah,
as
yeah.
S
Like
and
I was
SC.
saying, the tessalemia, the symptoms are not as severe, or the illness is not as severe
Yeah.
as the full-blown sickle cell disease, which is really, really severe. And yeah, so tessalemia is more, and it usually affects more European people.
More European people than it does like Africans and Asians. And then there's the SBO, which is like the zero side of it. So I guess on that side for them is the HBSS anemia. And however, sometimes the symptoms can be more severe than.
But there can also be like surprises, because I came across one lady and her child. She was Spanish, so she was European or Spanish, and she had like pale skin, and her child had full-blown sickle cell. So not tessalemia, but she had sickle cell. So maybe I'm thinking
she had the SS.
She had
the
the
SS or the SB. Okay.
She had the SS. So I'm thinking maybe down the lines of her ancestors or somewhere she has African descent within her or something like that.
Okay.
So it can. Sickle cell SS does mainly affect African and Indian descent and Caribbean, but you can get those odd ones that
will have it.
Yeah, that will have
so
like
then
Spanish people, Europeans that
SS is for African, Caribbeans and some
common,
Asians. And for the Western society, when we say Western, we're saying the Caucasian, European, white people. So they deal with the SB, and then there's the SB, tessalemia, and then there's the SBO as well, which has more severe, problems and pains and stuff like that. But then you have the SD as well, and the SE and the SO. So these type of sickle cell diseases are more rare and usually don't have any severe symptoms.
Yeah.
But then you also have the sickle cell trait.
Yeah.
This is something that I think a lot of people need to really know about. Like, when I had my daughter, when you're pregnant, you have so much tests, right? Yeah. So you have all the tests there is to have in the world, and they will tell you if there's something wrong, especially when it's your first child.
Yeah.
So nothing was said to me. I was not told that anything is wrong. But I remember,
It's alright.
I remember her dad.
Oh yeah.
That her dad asking me like, "Oh, is everything okay with her? Is she okay?" So I'm thinking, why is this homeboy asking me these questions?
All these questions.
And then I was like, yeah, everything's fine, because nothing was said to me out of the ordinary. Until she was born, they had to run some tests on her.
Yeah.
And obviously now she's got her own kind of blood that's created, her 1% that she'll create. She takes mum, dad, and creates her 1%.
Yeah.
And later on, when the house midwives, health visitors came to visit, they gave me a small card. They were like, "Oh, you're going to need to talk to your child about this." So I'm like, how about you talk to me about it first?
Yeah.
How about you tell me what it is,
Exactly.
so I know what I'm telling her?
Yeah.
And then I just got a card that said trait. And then I told her dad, "Oh, they gave me a card that said trait." And he's like, "You said she had nothing." I was like, "Well, you clearly know what you're carrying for you to be asking this kind of questions." Yeah, because not that I'm not informed of sickle cell, but I may not have gone all the way out there to look for it, because
you didn't know.
it's not a part of me. I don't carry it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the closest person that I've had in my life that I know that has crises and stuff like that, it's you.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy at all, because kind of relating to your situation, when my parents came here from Congo, because I was born here, right? So when they came here, they had me, and also they didn't know that they had.
And you're not the firstborn, so.
Yeah, I'm not the firstborn.
There's like how many of you?
There's 6 of us. So I've got 6 siblings and 2 parents and a nephew and a niece.
So out of the 6 children, everyone else is okay, or?
So all the 3 eldest don't have nothing, not even SS, not
even a trait,
nothing at all. And the 3 youngest, they all carry the full-blown sickle cell. So my parents are the ones that have the trait. And trait, when you have the trait,
both mother and father are trait.
Both mother and fathers. When you have the trait, that's only means that you could carry it on. So it means that you can carry it onto your kids. So you don't tend to get crisis or anything that much at all.
But it also means you can create full blown.
Yeah, it just means that you're a carrier.
Yeah.
You could either pass the trait or you could pass the full blown disease to the child.
Only if a trait and a trait mate.
Yeah. So say if someone had sickle cell trait and the other person didn't have it, nothing at all, their blood was clean, nothing, then there will be no way
that they will create a sickle cell child. No way they'll create a trait. So they'll create a new line of blood of DNA and they 1%. Okay.
And the same goes for SS, the same goes for SB, all the sickle cell all the sickle cell types. So yeah, when my parents came over here, my eldest sister, the one before me, she used to get illnesses and stuff like that, but they never really knew what it was.
Was she born here or born?
She was born in African Congo. She never
yeah.
really knew what it was. They never really knew, and she didn't go in hospital back to back. She was very well when she was young.
Being in Congo, a hot country.
Yeah.
So obviously it helps with the blood flow, helps with a lot of things. So she would not really know.
Yeah, hot country it helps with. It's not 100% a guarantee, but it helps with.
It reduces
the So when they came here, I was born here, and then they had me, and sorry, just went blank for a minute. So they had me, and the doctors tell them, oh, did you know your child had sickle cell? Because when I was born, I had a crisis where I was in hospital for quite long. Not a crisis, but I was unwell.
From when you were born?
Yeah, from when I was born. So the doctors told them, oh, did you know your child has sickle cell? And they were like, what's that? Yeah. We've never been screened for that. We've never been, we don't know what the hell that is. We don't know. So they tested all the children, and they found out that one of my other sisters had it, but the 3 eldest don't have it. And my younger sister, she was born with it as well. So yeah,
that must have been painful for them because knowing that
no idea what
it's their fault, their parent, they were not taught about it basically. And I really think that a lot of families they were never screened for it.
They never screened for it. They never tested it in Congo. They never looked for it. So, but when we came here, they tested for it and had all those stuff. That's why I really want to bring in screening in Congo so that it could.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it could also be easier if parents want to meet up and have children. It'll be easier to say, oh no, I can't go with this person because they have sickle cell. Oh no, I can't go with this person because they have a trait. They will know where they stand. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah, they will know who to date. They will know who to be with. Who to pair up with, without creating a child that has, that will have an illness or suffer for a long time. Yeah.
You're bringing a child out into the world. And you're bringing a child to suffer. You're not feeling that pain. That child is feeling that pain every day.
Yeah.
So to reduce the chances of that happening, we urge of you, individuals out there. I know sometimes we get into relationships and we're mating and we're not even thinking about it, but having discussions such as blood types, blood groups, and this and that, and finding out if they have a history of sickle cell in their family or just different kind of histories in their family is very important because
any other illnesses too.
Yeah, it's very, very important. So we here on this show, and anyone else, including doctors sitting in the offices, I'm sure by now, will urge you to try and find out these things about yourselves before you have children and you bring a child out into the world only to suffer. And if you do that, you're pretty selfish. You're very
Yeah, just to add on. Sorry.
That's fine.
So yeah, it's quite important to screen for stuff, not just with sickle cell, but with STDs and all that stuff. You don't know what's going on. So
just health in general.
Yeah, before I date, I will have to tell my other half or partner that, oh, I've got this. It's carried on from, you can't catch it, you can't do anything like that. I've got this, and I have to make sure that the other person has no SS, no trait, no nothing,
SB,
so that I
no
don't,
SO, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
What am I saying? SBO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I don't so I have to make sure that they don't have anything that they could pass on, so we can't pass on to our child. We don't create a child that has SS or SB or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure whoever I'm dating is they don't carry any of that. Yeah.
And I think for men as well, you need to know what you carry, because you could meet a woman that doesn't have any sickle cell trait, who doesn't have anything to do with sickle cell. But because you're the dominant carrier, then you can actually pass something on to the child.
Yeah.
And then now that child has something to be passing on and on and on, and to be making sure, like Claire said, that they don't mate with the wrong type of blood groups or blood cells, so it's actually very, very important. And I think we need to have this discussion a bit more. We need to have this discussion in our community, and I really think you and I need to have some kind of event, something to break this down for people, because I'm sure people out there never knew there was like 4 different types of sickle cell. They probably just knew SS. Yeah. They probably just knew that. And there's people walking out there who are traits and they don't know it. And like you said, you go into hospital, you give birth as a woman, and you discover that you have something in you.
Yeah. Some people don't even know about sickle cell disease, or especially in the African community. Well, it's known in the African community, but
now in the Western society, but back home,
exactly, they don't really know about it. Or even if it is in Congo, they don't, or back home, they don't have like the resources to screen or to treat people, or they don't have much resources. But so some people, we know about it, but it needs to be. It took a long time for people to know about it. It took a long time to
accept the
get
situation as well. It's not something easy for you to, for you to be, to just accept. So you were diagnosed with this from a young age when you were born.
From birth.
Yeah, from birth. From what age did you start having to learn how to deal with your own crisis, and how to handle your crisis?
So pretty much even like till now, my mum takes care of, well, not till now, I take care of myself, I can do everything by myself. But my mum was the one that was caring. Yeah, my mum was the one that cared for me. And I started to learn more about sickle cell. I knew when I was a child, I just didn't understand. Like,
what you had.
Yeah. Or why I wasn't allowed outside to go play with the other children, or why I wasn't, allowed, to like overexert myself and stuff like that, because my parents.
So you were not allowed outside to. Sorry.
No, I was allowed outside, but I'm saying like my parents really sheltered me. Like, oh, make sure if you go outside, you wear a coat, wear this, or don't stay too long outside.
Oh, yeah, make the wind and stuff, not to get cold.
Yeah, make sure you got a jacket. Make sure you've got your medicines. Just making sure, or like when you're like age 5 or something like that, your friends and all that are outside, but you can't.
You can't stay out for too long.
For too long. So I wouldn't really understand that, but now I know they did it because they wanted to keep me healthy and all that and stuff like that. So yeah. So what was that? Sorry, back to the question. What was the first question?
Yeah, like when did you learn to start taking care of your
So when I started to learn, it was like probably in my teenage years, I started to understand and started to take care of it more by myself, even though my mum would always be there, but I'll handle my own medications. I'll go with my mum to the doctor's appointments and stuff like that. So yeah, around teenage times. But when I was young, I didn't really grasp what it was. I just knew that I keep getting sick, or I keep getting sick. Why is it happening? But I didn't really know what sickle cell was. So if we could teach our children from young what it is, and that they're not different, or they're not strange, or why they have to stay in, or why they're tired and stuff like that. If we could teach them that from young, it would really help them progress.
Someone like me would just blame the men. Men, you carrying stuff. So and teaching them from young is very important. I really do. I do agree with that. So you said medication.
Yeah.
Now, how many medications per day?
Oh, there's tons.
Per hour.
There's tons of medication, but medications as well. Like back when I was a child and when I was younger, I didn't have to take that much medicine. Probably paracetamol, ibuprofen will probably do the trick.
Just for the aches and stuff.
Yeah, for the aches and pains. But as I got older, it's not like this with everyone. But as I got older, I started experiencing more pain and had to have like harder drugs like codeine, Godimal, and stuff like that.
Codeine was the one. That's my drug.
And stuff like that.
I
know. Trust me, that one gets you woozy. But yeah. Or like even morphine, like I'll have morphine or Oxycontin, Oxynon in hospitals and stuff like that. So as I got older, my attacks got worse. So I'll usually have more meds when I'm older. But when I was young, I didn't really take that much meds. I didn't really need them. and my body was like more.
So with it being more about the immune system, so you also have to look after yourself as well. Just eat well, stay fit, you know.
Because the
like
cold could definitely trigger your attacks. The heat is best, but also if you don't hydrate yourself in the heat, that can lead to
that could also lead to something.
crisis, so.
With that said, I need to drink water.
Exactly, me too. But yeah, winter time is usually when you get the cold, when you get the flu, and stuff like that. So it could bring on an attack. Even like say when you have a shower and then you go straight outside.
Yeah, no, I get that because just generally speaking, whether someone is sick of self or not, if you're out there for too long and you're not well dressed and you know you're not well covered, the wind then will bit, you know, it could just go in you and like you know at some point like a few days later you're realizing I've got a cold or it was raining and you walked in the rain and like all of those things. But for someone who has sickle cell, it will have a faster effect.
Yeah. What usually happens to me, especially if I like this, I've learned not to do this, like to have a shower and then go straight outside. So I have to have I'll either have like a shower or bath or whatever, and wait a few hours in the house
to warm up.
To warm out, to make sure my
body temperature.
Make sure my hair's not wet, because if my hair's wet and I go outside, it could put like.
You get cold. You'll get cold because if it's someone who doesn't have sickle cell, all those things does happen to them, but except it doesn't happen straight away. Yeah.
So you just have to like protect yourself, whether you're in the cold or whether you're in the heat. You have to just protect yourself and make sure that you're well protected. You're taking your medicine, eating the right food. Just that you're healthy.
So who is at risk? I think we touched that. Who's at risk of getting, you know, the SS sickle cell, and that is children are only at risk of sickle cell disease if both parents carry sickle cell trait.
Yeah.
And that is what you just mentioned, that your mum was a trait, your father was a trait, but they did not know. A blood test called, I can't even pronounce this. I'll write it on the screen for you guys. But a blood test is required. And it can also be detected for which type that they might carry. So the common regions, this is just to clarify this for you, the common regions who deal with SS, not SC or SB, but SS, as we just mentioned earlier, there's 4 types of sickle cell groups, but the common one is SS. And the common regions for that is Africa, India, the Mediterranean, and the South Arabs, the Saudi Arabia, Saudi Arabia side. So these people from these regions they're most likely to carry these, and those regions have malaria as well, and the malaria in those regions are different to the Western society.
Funny thing about malaria, not to cut you, malaria, sickle cell people cannot get malaria. Did you know that?
Did you hear that? That's some good news for you, but why is that?
So sickle cell people who have sickle cell, they cannot catch malaria. I'm not sure on the entire science of it, but if you look it up, sickle cell people cannot. I know it because I study it in what's it called?
It says here malaria are more are more likely to be carried or less likely to be carried.
You can't get malaria if you've got sickle cell. It's something to do with the bloods, but I can't remember right now.
I guess it's not this type of blood that the mosquito is looking for.
I'm not sure, but something to do with.
There's mosquitoes in the UK too, you know, but they're just not as bad as the one in Africa.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't really get sickle cell. Malaria if you have sickle cell.
Okay, so the illnesses, the stress, the change of temperature, the poor, hygiene is also, you need to have good hygiene as well. And, you cannot just be dehydrated all the time. And
drink lots and lots of water, guys.
And they always say, there's a saying in the African or Congolese, they say, I be like I be like I be like I be like instead of actually being clear and talking about the subject. Because do you think if someone spoke to your parents about it, they would have known?
Oh yeah.
Well, clearly.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry. When they spoke to my parents about it, they taught them, the doctors and everything, they taught them what it was about. So my parents definitely didn't know.
your parents were spoken about the illness here in the UK. That's where they gain more knowledge about it.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our community back home, Africa, we don't really discuss, the topic.
Yeah.
So do you think if they had been spoken about it beforehand, they would have known, even maybe before they got together?
I think in the knowledge, they had knowledge of when it was they were here. So back in Congo, they also do have knowledge of sickle cell, but they don't screen
or then?
it. Back then they didn't.
Yeah.
Now they have some, but back then they didn't screen for it. So my parents didn't even know that what's it called until they got to this country. And also what tends to happen in a lot of African communities and Caribbean communities, well, black people in general, is that they hide a lot of illnesses, or they don't like to speak about it. A lot of
serious topics,
serious topics, or like especially like when you touch on the issue of mental health, they
say, oh, a bit of hamudu.
Exactly, it's not really looked at as a good thing. It's like taboo, or like if you've got an illness, they don't really talk about it. Unlike to a comparison, like say to cancer, where they talk about it, so they could get more funding, they could get more
support,
research, and all that stuff. So when it comes to like African illnesses, or not just sickle cell, but with any other is not tend to really talked about, especially mental health.
It's kind of swept underneath the carpet.
So taboo
with your health situation, that you go through so much, pains here and there, the stress alone can be quite, too much. So how do you deal with the mental health state of it?
It can be testing sometimes, but as long as you've got a really good family, not just family based, or like good support system, if you've got people that are like there for you, it can really, really make a difference, because you need like people to take you to the hospital, or to pick you up from the hospital, or just someone to talk to. But there's not a lot of that help, especially within the mental health society anyways, or within, like say if you're talking about sickle cell or any other illnesses, there's not really that much help.
Did you find that your friends understood sickle cell? Because sometimes some people have friends that don't understand it. They want to associate themselves with you.
With friends, I had lots. No one ever treated me different because I had sickle cell. But what they didn't grasp was, because like normal people, they usually go to hospital once or twice in a lifetime. But because I have sickle cell, I might go once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, throughout my whole life. And friends don't really keep up with that. They don't really want to, check what you do. They might come and see you once or twice.
Always in hospital.
Exactly. Do you get what I mean? They don't really come and check on you and be like, oh, you good? You okay? They might do it once or twice, but then after that, when they go on with their life, they're not really checking on others. So, because you've got that for a whole lifetime.
They're just used to you being in hospital, so she's always there, kind of thing.
With friends, I don't really tell them about it unless I'm close to you or whatever, or don't really mention it. But I've still got some of those friends that are really close and that will stick by you and that are there for you and stuff like that. So it's good to have friends and family. What I would say is just to find yourself a really good support system, and people that you could count on and that you can really rely on. Yeah.
So COVID has been crazy. This whole pandemic has been crazy. So this is definitely one of those things where someone who had sickle cell probably would have been shielding, probably would be called, first up front to take the vaccine. Not that you have to, because it's not mandatory. It's your own personal choice. But they said that those who have such illnesses or borderline illnesses, you need to come forward first. So someone like you probably be first in the queue. But how did you cope with sickle cell, COVID, staying safe? How did you cope with that?
In the beginning, it was quite, not hard, but it was like scary, because you're thinking, oh, well, I've already got one illness, so my immune system's not that great. I'm going to catch it, or, I'm going to catch it very quickly or whatever. So in the beginning, it was quite hard to like stick to the rules, not go out, not, stay very shielded, and your friends might not understand why. They're always inviting you to places, but you can't attend.
You shouldn't be inviting people to places. It's lockdown.
You get what I mean? Exactly. Well, you yourself, you really want to go party and you want to go, mingle with people, they're having fun and all that, but you got to also remember, right now you could catch it. It's very easy to catch it. Traveling on the trains and all this, cars, seats, whatever.
Anything.
It's very thing. It's very you could
risky,
easily very risky. Yeah, you could easily catch it, and also just like. In the beginning, they don't really have that much support system for sickle cell people. So what I saw online, like some people came together, like people with sickle cell, they came together and started building like forums to talk to each other.
Amazing, that's very good.
You know, to
like a
keep up
support
with each
network,
other.
a support group, yeah.
Exactly. So they started to connect online, and you know, to see how you're doing, how this girl's doing, how this
person's doing.
So that, I thought that really helped as well. There should be definitely more of that.
Like a little community formed around that.
Because you're not allowed to go out much. You have to, you know, really pay attention to the restrictions that they're saying.
Yeah.
Because you already know that you've got an illness or your immune system's low. So yeah, we had to, in the beginning, we had to really stick to it, and it was quite scary. And yeah, you don't have much people coming around and doing anything like that. Yeah. But as the restrictions started coming off, life kind of goes back to normal.
During this COVID time, the restrictions that was there, and obviously you just mentioned having sickle cell meant that the rule applied to you way more than it is with someone else that's completely normal in terms of health wise. Not that you're not normal, sorry. So there was a young boy, aged 19, Nigerian descent, Richard. He also had sickle cell, who had been, you know, shielded at home for such a long time. And then at some point around the month of March, he went out around East London, going towards Epic area, towards Essex. And it said that he didn't have his medication on him, and you just mentioned all the medication that full-blown sickle cell people have to take without it at risk. And he was at risk already. He journeyed quite far. The next thing is the news. March 22nd, they said that he was found dead in the woods in the forest in Essex, and that's really sad. We don't know if it was like a murder, if it was to do with him not having his medication. But the reason why I'm bringing this out is because he was sickle cell, full blown, and he was taking medication, and it was said on BBC News that he left home for such a long time he didn't have any medication
without his medicine. And he just wanted to be like any other normal teenagers, go out, have fun, mingle. He probably was meeting up with a friend, because his mum said on the news that he was speaking to someone before he left. So he also just wants to mingle and stuff like that. Now, we don't know the circumstances of why he died.
And also, when the mum reached out, her call was not taken very serious. They told her you should go look for your child yourself. Like, no one really reached out straight away, probably thinking he's a young lad, 19, he's from West London, Laverick Grove as well. And sometimes just saying, when that call comes out there and they know that it's a black person, the reaction is always different. I'm a brown person, I don't know about you. So, and it's just a sad story. Maybe it was not because of the medication, but just to know that he was dealing with that. It was late at night. Maybe he had a crisis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's not like taken really seriously as well. It's not taken seriously, like say with doctors or some doctors and nurses, they do take it serious, but because it affects black people and Caribbean Asians and all that, it affects them mostly. So the illness is not really known and it's not really taken care of properly. So, like say,
whereas the SB for the Mediterranean and the Caucasian people, the Western society is taking care.
Do you get what I mean?
See you.
If there's like, say if you had a white girl missing or a teenage young girl missing, and say she had cancer or something, they would have looked at her for her like that.
If anything ever happens to me and you call the police, say I have blonde hair.
Exactly.
Say I got blonde hair.
Blue eyes, I'm blonde.
Well, I may have a blonde wig at that moment. Just say I got blonde hair. I got blonde hair.
Yeah, but you see, it's not really taken that seriously. The Caucasian person will be, you know, rushed and everything.
Like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
It's not, and that's just not. It's not just due to sickle cell. It's due to how society is as well. As Africans or Caribbeans, black people, are not really, our illnesses are not taken care of, or mental health.
Even by ourselves.
Our mental health, it's not taken seriously. It's like, they think that black people could take more pain than our other counterparts.
I know we're coming towards the end of the show, but there's this thing where they think like, you know, black women especially, that we can carry the load, that we can deal with it, that we can just get on with it, that we just got all this strength, like we can just, you know, like gosh, I did not carry Jesus for one, so therefore I cannot carry everything. And all these illnesses and other illnesses that we may have not mentioned that one will be dealing with, it's not easy to deal with that and then deal with your mental health state. So please do take care of yourself. I would definitely like to say, as we mentioned before, and I will say it again, when you get into a relationship, please talk about your blood types, your blood groups, and all this kind of thing. Talk about if you're a trait, if you're not too sure, get tested. I have a friend who's married now, but at the time she didn't know she was a trait. Her partner was a trait, and the family said that you cannot get married because there's a chance of this and that happening. And then later when she went and got tested, she found out that she's a trait. And then the family tried to stand against it. You cannot, but they're so in love. They've been together for such a long time, and it was so difficult for them to just break up from what they're about to create, this marriage, that everything that that they're going into. So please, before you even walk down the aisle, before you do anything, before you date, I should have done that. I should have done that to myself. I'm here talking, but I should have done the same thing. Before you even date, you really need to tap into that topic.
Let me just add something quickly. Before you date, you should definitely seek out what person's blood type or STDs or anything like that. Anything, whatever illness.
A general sexual health check as well.
Exactly. Exactly. Whatever could be passed down, anything like that, you should check. But having said that, there are healthy relationships, like people that have sickle cell, they get in relationships, they get married. And it's not something that you could catch.
Don't go thinking that if someone's oh, she's got sickle cell, I can't look, I can rub onto her.
Exactly.
Like, it's not something like that. It's not something that you can catch.
It's passed down. You get,
and they can have you can have a healthy relationship. You can meet with someone now that has nothing.
Nothing.
No trait.
So
and your children would be safe.
If I was dating, I would look for someone that has no trait, no nothing, and I'll do it in advance rather than getting with someone that has a trait or a possibility of my child
to break up.
having it. So like if my parents, they had no clue that any of us children had the trait. I mean, had the illness or anything like that. So they couldn't have made that decision. So
they had no clue that they had it.
Exactly.
So they couldn't have made that decision.
That they had it either. So don't make it hard for yourself by getting in a relationship that
you have to come out of.
That you'll have to come out
You'll have to come out of that relationship.
That you're going to have to stay in, and then you make a baby, and then that child is going to be forever and a lifetime.
You're going to be selfish, bringing someone in pain.
That's kind of selfish, but because if you could prevent that beforehand, trust me, just do it. That's the perfect thing. That's what I intend to do when I get married. And
Okay, so to close the show, we are in a Congolese community. We are both Congolese. Bandundu. Oh yeah. So, what would you say to those who are watching?
So I want to tell just my Congolese people, my beautiful Congolese people, let's try to research more about sickle cell, because it does affect us as well. If African people, there's a lot of people in Congo who have sickle cell but might not know it because they haven't been screened or there's not enough resources to do so. So let's try educate ourselves more about it. It's to the Congolese community that are here in the UK. There's hospitals opened up, so you could go get screened, checked before you have a child. Before you decide to bring a child into this world, it'll be best to go try screen yourself, see if either you or your partner has the sickle cell trait or full-blown disease. So it could prevent you bringing a child into this earth that could potentially have the trait or the disease, and it could take away a lifetime of pain. So I'll just say to the Congolese community, just really research about it, look up about it, and don't make it feel like it's a taboo or anything not just sickle cell, but with mental illness or anything like that. Everybody has it. Everybody has their each person has their own problems, but sickle cell is very common in the Congolese community. So you need to be looking out for it, and you need to be testing yourselves and seeing if you guys have it.
So I would say to parents, families, those watching, talk about it. Talk about sickle cell. Talk about mental health. Talk about anything that is out of the norm, that you consider to be taboo, that you've never spoke about it before. Claire mentioned that her parents were both traits, but they never knew. They were raised in the DRC Congo. No one spoke to them about it. And at the time, there was not a lot of screening. Right now, there is. And we here, I, Claire, would love to do something else outside of this kitchen,
Of course,
and
100%.
to help you guys, especially in the Congolese community. You really need to talk about it. What is sickle cell? How do I get sickle cell? What is a trait? And can I have a child with you? You know, can I have a child with you? Can I not have a child with you? And men are the ones who really need to ask this question, because you are the dominant carrier. You really carry a lot of stuff, don't you, Mendo? You're the dominant carrier, so please stay safe. I'm going to continue having my meal because I was so busy listening to you that I did not really tuck in.
Touch anything.
I did. I tried it. I had a bit of mushroom. Complimented myself.
Probably eating and talking at the same time. So
This is it, because we've not been able to
really
catch up
good.
like this. So I want to have meals with everyone and really catch up. You know. And thank you for the information. Yeah, thank you for the information. And look out for what we will do, something concerning sickle cell and the community. So definitely look out for it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'm Marlene Mayele.
Thanks for having me.
This is Claire. You're welcome. And I shall see you guys soon. Should we say cheers to that?
Yes, definitely.
Chicka cha, chicka cha, cha cha.
Toute décision sérieuse doit être fondée sur des faits.
Alors bonjour.
Pour vos voyages d'affaires, touristiques et pour vos conférences, KSEC Voyage est la meilleure solution pour vous. Avec ses nombreux certificats de mérite témoignant de son savoir-faire et son professionnalisme, KSEC vous garantit un accompagnement sur mesure selon votre politique de voyage. Faites-nous confiance et obtenez en toute rapidité, simplicité et sécurité votre visa. Prise en charge, assurance voyage, assurance maladie, réservation de billets et hôtels. Nous choisir, c'est choisir plus de 50 destinations à travers le monde. Notre équipe vous assurera la qualité de service par sa disponibilité, sa compétence et sa précision.
Et bonjour monsieur, je vous appelle de la part de KSEC Voyage.
Notre adresse, 6, numéro 2116, avenue de la Révolution, référence École Jean Calvin. Retrouvez-nous sur Facebook, KSEC Voyage SARL, ou sur notre site ksecvoyage.com.